A special thanks to Park University again. I cannot thank them enough for being one of our great partners and our lead partner for this season ticket member event, our Draft Fest. Well, now we have a special announcement to properly introduce to you the person that will make that announcement. We need to realize what has happened from a historical context in Kansas City Chiefs and National Football League history. Because in many ways, whether you look at Patrick Mahomes in his first 46 games in about 10 categories, the best start of any quarterback in the history of the league, which covers 101 years, it started with a vision and a pattern of leadership to win and making decisions to win. We have the best ownership family in all of professional sports. And it is not by chance that we've been in 3 straight AFC Championship games on this field that you're standing on when it never happened before. And to be in back-to-back Super Bowls and to be Super Bowl 54 champion and to play and battle in Super Bowl 55, it is not a coincidence. It is a byproduct of leadership and direction and vision. And now I want you to acknowledge the chairman and CEO of the Kansas City Chiefs, Clark Hunt.
Hey, Chiefs Kingdom, how great is it to be back in person celebrating the draft?
And so far, the draft, I want to ask you about the draft. First of all, to get the Orlando Brown Jr. trade done, and then the 2 picks yesterday.
Yeah, well, Brett's done a fantastic job this offseason. One of the key things he had to do this offseason was rebuild our offensive line. And I think he's taken that to a whole new level, starting with Orlando Brown, but certainly the choice yesterday for Creed Humphrey and Nick Bolton also to bolster our defense. We've got some great new players coming in, and he's looking forward to, and we're all looking forward to, a great 2021 season.
Matt and I have done some features over the last 5 to 6 weeks, and part of those features we're talking about the history of the venue that you're standing on. It is really one of the world's most iconic sports venues. One of the things that I love about it is our Hall of Honor, our Hall of Fame that is part of our concourse. It's not a freestanding facility, and to me that makes it even better. But what about the excitement of what you're doing, Clark, with the Hall of Honor?
Well, when the stadium was renovated a little over 10 years ago, we introduced the Hall of Honor. It's a place where the greats of Chiefs history could be properly recognized for their contributions to the team. A place where our fans could go back and look at the great teams of the 60s and 70s and 90s and appreciate the players and coaches who helped make the Chiefs who they are today. Well, this offseason, we've got something very exciting going on. You can see we've got a little renovation project in the bowl, but more importantly, we're completely redoing the Hall of Honor, and we're going to make it state-of-the-art so that the Chiefs Hall of Famers and the greats of Chiefs past can be properly recognized, and it is going to be the coolest place in Arrowhead Stadium.
And that is awesome. And I know a lot of you, and Tammy and I have out-of-town guests. It's a must. We bring them to it, and now you will see. Plus, it honors your dad and mom. And it honors the American Football League. It's like going through the Smithsonian of football starting in 1960.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we're glad to be able to bring it into the 21st century. It's going to have a lot of audio-visual features to it. It's really, really going to be a special place. Make sure, whether it's a preseason game or a regular season game, make sure you visit the Hall of Honor to the left here in the concourse when you come to a Chiefs game this season.
And now it's become a Draft Fest tradition, a special announcement, and Clark, I will let you have it because we will add to that hall.
Well, last year we couldn't be in person, and one of the byproducts of that was we did not have an addition to the Chiefs Hall of Honor, to the Chiefs Hall of Fame, to our Ring of Honor. But this year we have a very special inductee. He was a key contributor to the great teams of the 1990s. He was the anchor of the offensive line that led the National Football League in many rushing categories and also protected the quarterbacks during that decade. He played 164 games for the Chiefs as a starter, 169 total. He had 120 straight starts. He was a model of consistency, durability, and excellence. It's my pleasure to introduce Tim Grunhard.
Wow. First of all, I want to thank the Hunt family, Lamar, Clark, and the whole Hunt family for having this beautiful, beautiful team here in Kansas City, having this wonderful tradition of having the Ring of Fame, which honors the great football players here for the Kansas City Chiefs. I look up and I see some of the names of the guys I played with, and some of the guys that were my mentors through the ambassador program, and it just honored and floored. And you guys know me, I'm very rarely speechless, but I am today. But the one thing I do want to get out to everybody, and if you know me, you know this is the way I carry myself. This is not just my award. This is an award for all my teammates who played on the offensive line. This is an award for all the guys that I played with in the 90s. But more importantly than that, this is an award for all of the great Chief fans that sat out here in the 1990s and watched the Kansas City Chiefs build the foundation for the Super Bowl championships that we are seeing now. So thank you guys for being the great fans that you are. And thank you guys for honoring me and my family here. And I want to, my family, my wife Sarah, we have been best friends since 18 years old, married for a long time. My son CJ, who was a little guy that when I came out here after my retirement, he was a little guy standing next to me. And then the twins, Kaylee and Colin. Colin has his spring game tonight at KU. All you KU fans, he'll be playing football tonight. And then Cassie, my daughter, who is here with us today. Very, very happy and proud that they're here to witness this. So thank you guys so much.
Grunny, when you found out you get the call, what was your reaction?
Well, first of all, I was embarrassed because I didn't answer the phone. I thought it was a robocall. I don't get many calls from Texas. So when I listened, it was Clark. I was very embarrassed, and I called back right away. And I have a little bit of Marty Schottenheimer in me. A guy that I was my mentor, and a guy that I loved and cared for me and cared for my family and was there for me many times. But we all know Marty had little tears that came down his eyes sometimes when he was emotional, and that's what happened with me. I was very emotional and choked up and still honored and floored. So it was an unbelievable experience for me.
I wish Coach could be here to see this. He'd be so proud of you. His name's right up there, right over our shoulder. But speaking of being right up there, when you would run out that tunnel and play on this field, these names that are around this facade, did you ever think, well, maybe I'll be up there someday?
Well, it's always the goal. But you never know if you're going to make it. I do remember walking in here in 1990, the day after the draft, 31 years ago with Carl Peterson. We were at a Red Coater event, a luncheon. And we walked out here, and Carl kind of looked up and showed me all these great names and all the great players that were before me. And I always remember, I said, boy, that would be awesome if I can play long enough and play well enough and stay healthy to have an opportunity to put my name up there and be with the greats. But if you just look up there, it's so humbling with all the great guys. I look up and I see Jerron Cherry, great friend of mine. Jack Rudney, another center. E.J. Hollop, another center. Centers are representing. Oh, by the way, we drafted a center too. Not a bad deal. But I see John Alt up there, and I see Will Shields. All those great players that I played with, and it really brings a tear to my eye to know that I'm being honored with them, and very, very humbled to be mentioned in their name.
It's understated, our center tradition, as you mentioned, Grunny. But let me ask you, Creed Humphrey, we're going to hear it. We're going to see him here in a little bit. Second-round pick, center. Interesting. But what would you tell Creed to say, well, maybe one day you'll be up here 30 years from now?
Well, it's a great tradition here in Kansas City now, these second-round centers, isn't it? You had, I think I may have started it off, and then it went to Rodney Hudson, and then it went to Mitch Morris, and now it goes to Creed Humphrey. So, nice tradition. All those guys were great football players. All those guys are guys that made a difference, and I'm sure Creed will do the same thing. The one thing I could tell him is to, put your nose to the grindstone, keep working, soak in all the positivity of Kansas City and the Kansas City Chief fans, and learn from those older guys in the O-line room. I want to thank a really good guy that passed away way too early, who was my mentor, and Mike Webster, who took me under his wing when I was a young man, never played the center position, and Mike took me under his wing and showed me how to conduct myself as a football player and a center, and I'll never forget that, and hopefully Creed has somebody who can do that for him also.
And a final question, Grunny. You talked about the guys in the Ring of Honor here, but I think of guys like Zotter, Dave Zott, and you said your life changed when you got that call to be the second-round pick in 1990. What about the guys that maybe aren't up here, the grinders that were a part of your life and changing your life?
Well, Dave Zott is still, I texted Dave Zott this morning. I didn't tell him, but I said there's something special going to happen in my life today, and you're on the front of my mind. Dave Zott, Glenn Parker, Ricky Sigler, just a bunch of guys that played along. Dave Lutz, so many great, Richard Baldinger, so many great football players that affected me and helped me to be the player and the person that I am. The great thing about Kansas City, the great thing about being a Kansas City Chief is the Kansas City Chief organization, Lamar Hunt first and now Clark Hunt, are always going to bring quality people into the locker room, quality people into your lives, quality people into the community. And you know that the guy next to you, he loves you and he cares for you and he's part of the family. And one of the things we always talked about was you have God, family, and Kansas City.
Ladies and gentlemen, please acknowledge once again our newest member to the Kansas City Chiefs Hall of Fame and to our Ring of Honor, number 61, Tim Grunhard.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.